So good morning, ladies and gentlemen. Namaste and a very warm welcome to all of you to the BlubWorld Web Talks 230th episode. In the last 229 episodes, we have talked to, interacted with more than 4,000 school leaders and teachers from across the world, where they've shared their ideas, opinions, innovations, and what all new are they doing in the education space. तो नमस्कार, आप सभी का स्वागत है ब्लब वर्ल्ड वेब टॉक्स के 230वें एपिसोड में। पिछले 229 एपिसोड में हमने करीबन 4,000 से ज्यादा शिक्षाविदों से बातचीत करी और उनसे जानने की कोशिश करी कि वो शिक्षा को कैसे बदल रहे हैं और शिक्षा उन्हें कैसे बदल रही है। बिफोर वी स्टार्ट दिस सेशन, अ वेरी वार्म वेलकम वंस अगेन टू ऑल ऑफ यू. Namaste, I am Daksh, the founder of the BlubWorld magazine. Every month, the magazine focuses on a very simple task of finding teenagers who are doing great work in the world, and we share their stories with many more teens. And we also run the world's first and the only elected parliament of teenagers called the World Teen Parliament, जिसे हर महीने दुनिया के बहुत सारे सांसद एड्रेस करते हैं, जहां बहुत सारे बच्चे दुनिया में पॉलिसी चेंज के लिए प्रयास करते हैं और बहुत सारी डिप्लोमेटिक स्किल्स सीखते हैं. So thank you so much everyone for being a part of the BlubWorld Web Talk 230th episode. Let's start today's conversation with some amazing speakers that we have today. Today's conversation basically focuses around teen activism. कि बच्चों को एक्टिविज्म में इन्वॉल्व होना चाहिए या नहीं. 13 से 19 साल के बच्चे, when we specifically talk of teenagers, should teenagers or children above 13 and under 19 years of age, should they get involved in some sort of an activism, whether it's social, whether it's environmental issues? Should they not do it? If they do it, what's the benefit out of it? If they don't do it, is there something that they lose? So let's try to know from the school leaders who engage with so many teenagers on a daily basis, what do they think about activism? What's their perspective on it? And have they ever had an interaction with their own teenagers that what do they think is activism for them? Is it relevant, irrelevant? Is it something that's a must? Or is it something that can very easily be skipped during your teenage? Thank you so much, everyone, for joining us. Let me invite the first speaker for today to share their opinions on teen activism. A very warm welcome to Mrs. Mangolika Chakraborty, who is the Curriculum Director and IB Head for Himalayan White House IB World School from Kathmandu, Bagmati, Nepal. Mangolika ma'am, over to you for the next 3 minutes. Please unmute yourself and a very warm welcome. But before you start, just a word of caution. This is a timed platform, so you might get muted. If you get muted, please don't get offended. It's just to keep the activity crisp and entertaining for everyone. Over to you, ma'am, for the next 3 minutes.
Thank you so much for inviting me to this platform. What you said about teen activism is something, as an educator, we always try to look into it. You specifically said that age 13 to 19, but I think the idea of social responsibility, environmental responsibility should start from a very early age before that. So I think whatever the idea which you are putting in place for the teenagers is a wonderful thing. But as educators, we have to ensure that these things are not only taught to them or informed to them or made them aware of it separately, but it has to be done embedded in the curriculum, what we teach. We teach social studies, we teach science, we teach maths, we teach all different disciplines. But the idea of taking the environmental responsibility or the social responsibility of this world is up actually on the teens, on the upcoming generation. But how can we do it? There's 3 or 4 simple steps which we use in school, and I think it would be handy for everyone. We call it voice, choice, ownership, and the international mindedness. So what is the voice? From very early age, we allow them to speak, to keep their opinions. Not like tum bache ho, tum chup ho jao, you cannot talk about this. It's none of your business. But most of the parents tend to do that. But it's okay. You agree to it or you don't agree to it, that's fine. But listening to them, their voice is very important. So giving that voice can be in the units they're studying. It can be through school events. It can be through writing letters to the government about what they want to bring in change for, what their rights are, or it can be a voice in the in the neighborhood as well, in the community as well. Then comes the choice. What kind of responsibility do they want to take? in the environment as well. There's so many things. There's pollution, there's plastic, there's a lot of things. So it is their choice. To take one, we call it less is more. So whatever they want to take upon, and be an advocate of it is up to them. And giving them the opportunity to place it, talk about it is also very important. And then we call the ownership. Mm. Children, even teenagers are children for me. So teenagers, they actually like to be decision makers. They want to own things, and they don't like to be set things like you have to do this or do that. So in that way, that ownership, and we give it to them, like, it's okay, fine, you do a project at your choice. What do you think about this issue which is going on in this world? So they prefer it more. If you give them the social media platform to raise a voice on anything, and they're very vocal nowadays, the teenagers. So that would really, that can really make wonders and connect other teenagers too. And then comes the international mindedness. If I have time, then I'll talk about it. So the international mindedness actually allows them to accept what the others are doing, and also to be able to tell the others what they want. So in a way, the international mindedness actually helps in the voice, choice, ownership, which I was talking about. And the international mindedness also help them to see what is going on around the world, the war, or the.
Thank you so much, ma'am. The first 3 minutes were over. I think you shared some very important points about the topic. So whenever you see BlubWorld's hand up in the air, that means the final 30 seconds are there, so you can start concluding. So thank you so much, ma'am. I'll try to summarize what you said. I think you gave a very good start to the complete discussion. First of all, you talked about that it is a must that teenagers must get involved in activism, whether it's environmental, whether it's social, because they have to understand that they are the future generation. They hold the responsibility of the world on their own shoulders. So at the end of the day, they have to understand how conscious they have to be about their surroundings, about the world that they have around them. You talked about a very good approach that a lot of curriculums take, which is voice, choice, ownership, and international perspective or international mindedness. Because I think these are some of the steps which are, which are very critical for a teenager. A teenager is somebody who is in the middle of not being a child and not being an adult. He's somebody who needs the independence of an adult, but the care of a child. And that's where the real paradox comes in, because a parent, a teacher, a school is not able to understand that what does this guy really need? That's where the conflict comes in, or that's why teenage is typically called the conflict age. We don't know what's really going on. You talked about giving them the freedom, giving them the voice, the choice, the ownership, and the international perspective so that they get involved in teen activism. And you stand strongly for that. It must be a part of the curriculums, and it must be not only taught to them, but imbibed in them as a value. Thank you so much, ma'am. Let me invite the next speaker for today. A very warm welcome to Mrs. Ishrat Tanki, the chairperson and principal for Firdaus Educational Institute, Patan, Baramulla, Jammu and Kashmir, India. Ishrat, ma'am, over to you for the next 3 minutes. Please unmute yourself, and a very warm welcome.
And very good evening to everyone. Thank you so much. Highly thankful for the BlubWorld to give the opportunity for this very serious topic, serious issue. Actually, I truly believe being an educator, being a school head, it's actually our responsibility as a citizen. We can bring a big change that directly, indirectly connects us with students, right? So it's the only platform where we can bring change. We have many issues, as we know, as an Indian, we have many issues. Students, एक हमारे पास like हम एक कौम को बना रहे हैं, और वो कौम हमारी जो बन रही है, जो फिर बच्चे से लेके हम जब टीन में आते हैं, वहां पे जब हम इनको इतनी एडवांस टेक्नोलॉजी भी है, सब है, तो वहां से ही इनमें एक चेंज आती है, जहां से एक लीडर निकल के आ जाता। फिर इट डजंट मैटर कि ये कहाँ पे किस लीडरशिप में जा रहे हैं, बट यहाँ पे ही हम इनका जो पूरा ध्यान है, तवज्जो है, इनका इंटरेस्ट है, तो जहां से हम देख रहे हैं कि हमारी सोसाइटी में कितनी तबाही है, किसी को भी लेके, डोमेस्टिक वायलेंस को लेके, ड्रग्स को लेके, हम एनवायरनमेंट को अभी हम इशू बनाते हैं, तो यहाँ पे एक बड़ी चेंज है जो डायरेक्टली इन्हीं को फिर इफेक्ट करती है फ्यूचर में। सो इट्स वेरी इंपॉर्टेंट कि हम इन्हीं को लेके, जब हम एज एन एल्डर, आई बिलीव आई हैव डिस्ट्रक्टेड, चाहे एनवायरनमेंट को लेके, क्योंकि हमसे कुछ संभला नहीं, बीइंग अ एल्डर, बीइंग अ पेरेंट, So being an educationist, I think we can bring a big change to educate, to give a platform to our teams. So us angle से young people actually who engaging in activism, इनको एक दिशा मिल जाती है वहां पे, और शायद उसी आई बिलीव, आई पर्सनली बिलीव, बिकॉज आई हैव वर्कड ऑन इट, इस पे मैंने आई हैव रिसर्चड इट, कि इसी तरीके से हम शायद पूरे इश्यूज को सॉर्टेड कर सकते हैं और हम वो कौम बना सकते हैं जो बाद में एक अच्छे इंडिया को रिप्रेजेंट कर सके। क्योंकि टाइम बहुत कम है, सो आई वी वांटेड टू ब्रिंग इट मोर, एक्सपैंड इट, क्योंकि इट्स वेरी सीरियस टॉपिक, इट्स वेरी सीरियस इशू। सो शायद हमें बहुत सारे आइडियाज मिल जाते। सो दैट्स ऑल।
Thank you so much, Ishrat ma'am. I think you very well articulated the point that since adults were not able to deal with it, let teenagers deal with it. And I think that's very important for us adults to understand and be appreciative of this fact that we were not able to do it. Because if we were able to do it, the teens won't be facing the challenges that they currently face. क्योंकि पुरानी generations जो हैं, or including our own generations, we were not able to create a solution that could sustain. It becomes even more imperative that the teenagers get involved in the process of activism. So we must appreciate that we were not able to do it, and let's give the opportunity to teens to be able to do it, because a very big skill set, I would rather say, that teenagers bring to the table is the risk appetite. All the adults everywhere across the world don't have that appetite. Not because we don't have it, because we have been educated not to have it. So since we don't have it, let's give teenagers an opportunity to use their risk appetite, take that risk, and I hopefully make the world a superb place to live in. Thank you so much, ma'am. Let me invite the next speaker for today. A very warm welcome to Mrs. Kanupriya Shekhar, the Director of Admissions for Manav Rachna Education Institutions, New Delhi, Delhi. Kanupriya, ma'am, I think from you, we would need a perspective on teenagers when they come into their college life. It's kind of a cultural shock for them. For some, it's a kind of a city shock for them. And the people who were involved in activism in their school, and when they don't find a community of similar interests in the college, what happens, or what kind of a mindset do teenagers go through when they are in that transition? Over to you, ma'am, for the next 3 minutes, and a very warm welcome.
Hi, Daksh. Thank you so much, first of all, for having me here and for such an interesting topic, because so far we've always been involved in education, what role it plays and how cross boundaries. But very seldom it is talked about what happens before that when we get adults in education institutions like Manav Rachna higher education institutions, and how can we make the best of them. And you used the word teen. I will also include a very different segment called with pre-teens, because that's equally important these days, and that's where the hunger, the impatience starts developing. And I think it's that hunger, that impatience is what will help in this activism, in engaging in social and environmental issues, because these young people are at the forefront of this worldwide environmental movement and are influencing conversations and demanding accountability now from governments. You look at Greta Thunberg. She may pass on as a child, but what she has done, the movement she brought along, it changed the whole world. And you could see a lot of chain reactions as a part of it, which made movements in various countries altogether. So this is an age, what we see here in the university, in the higher education segment, like what you've asked me specifically, the ones who are involved in such issues, how do they find it? How do they find their own community? The ones who really want to make that change, we've seen them make their own community. We've seen students coming together to address issues very minuscule to the ones which change the entire paradigm. We have a full-fledged Center for Water Technology and Management, which works towards the upliftment of Bhatkal Lake. And we see that our students have worked really hard to bring that movement to life and to make that happen by things like carrying water from sources to taking that to the lake to make sure that it's fulfilled, and so on and so forth. So it's not very hard for students to really get into that movement if they set their heart to it, because youth-led grassroots initiatives have proven to be crucial in accelerating impactful, beneficial environmental change, because sustainability is one word we keep hearing a lot, but this sustainability can be only sustained when what the adults started back in their age long time ago in the history, they have some credible people to hand over that baton to. And we need to identify these people from these groups and give them that power, make use of their impatience, their anger, their hunger, to be able to give shape to these visions and these initiatives. These movements and other ones like Zero Hour, the Sunrise Movement, Planet for the Planet, all of these are youth-led initiatives, and they're bringing about a lot of change. And we see a lot of potential in students, so much so that now there's specific courses on sustainability that gives them ideas and tools to bring their thoughts into action. Since time is very limited, I have a lot of thoughts specifically what is happening in India, because India is blessed to have the largest adolescent population in the world of about 253 billion, and every fifth person in our country is between 10 to 19 years of old. So India stands at the forefront and the threshold of this teen activism and this movement, which is going to change the world very, very soon.
Thank you so much, ma'am. I think a very important perspective that you talked about is the demographic dividend that India has right now. We are in that place where growth can be accelerated. It's up to the kind of leadership that we get, not only political leadership, but institutional leadership at every strata of life. Because the challenge with the demographic dividend is, if it's not utilized within that small little period of time, it becomes the demographic burden, the way it is now being experienced by Japan and many other countries, because this same dividend gets old, this same dividend gets aged. So I think for India, it's a time where the most amazing leaders across all strata are needed to use this energy as early as possible and to the best possible, avenues that we might be available to us. To summarize what you said that the teen activism must really be started from the pre-teen age, because that's where the hunger starts. You talked about college communities on social issues that are constituted within the universities, and they have been able to change the society forever. Majorly, if you see all the political leadership that we see around us across different countries, they come from college activism or university activism only. University typically becomes the breeding ground for the most amazing leaders that countries will see across the globe, because that's where they have that little time, they have that risk appetite, they have that little bit understanding of the world, and they're ready to challenge the status quo. And I think a very important thing that you mentioned is most of the big society changing initiatives were led by youth. So if the university provides the right kind of ground, and if the school is able to activate the teen activism in teenagers, then we are hopeful for a superb world ahead. Thank you so much, ma'am. Let me invite the next speaker for today. A very warm welcome to Mr. Amit K.S, the Academic Director and Principal of the Indian Academy, Palia Kalan, Uttar Pradesh. Amit ji, over to you for the next 3 minutes. Please unmute yourself, and a very warm welcome.
Welcome to all of you. Thank you to all. Thank you to Blub Forum to inviting me for this, for this topic. First of all, I totally agree with Kanupriya ma'am. Even I'm forgetting that ma'am name. Another ma'am, the first speaker. I'm totally agree with all of you. First of all, activism, when we talk about teen, we talk about, whenever I hear this, teen, the activism, teen is already activated, so nobody can stop them. I agree with ma'am. I agree with all the speakers. Nobody can stop them. They are already activated. The only thing is what I believe. It is in my perspective what I believe, that only we need to engage them in a right way. We need to guide them strategically. What are the strategy has to be maintained, in what way they can engage themselves, what is the right way of engagement, that we need to support them as a, as a elder. I believe as a mentor, I believe as a, and these things should start from home. It has to be started from home. For that, the parents need to be educated enough, helping the parents to understand their responsibilities, helping parents to understand the school's curriculum, because schools are always they're always engaging the students. Earlier in the CBSE curriculum, in the CISE board curriculum, it has been noticed that we come across many programs just to engage the teen into various social, I can say social work, community work. what happens? We generally don't get support. So from this forum, I would like to request the parents to come forward to understand how much teen is like, how much enthusiasm they are. They wanted to participate. They wanted to talk about this, the issues. But what we do, what our parent does, what our nearby community does, they simply discourage them. Instead of encouraging them, they discourage them. So I believe encouragement is one of the part. Teen are definitely, those are teen and they are activated. They can be activated when we support. We all as a leader, we need to come forward, what I believe. In addition to that, sir, you know that you have seen the entire social media is being run nowadays, being run by the team. These teens are educating us. So I truly agree, and I'm very, very happy that we all are talking in this regard. Like, let us engage the teen activism in terms of social, in terms of environmental issues. It is important. Nowadays, you can see that teens are coming forward. Okay, plantation is important, but to take care of the plantation, that is also important. And who can help the teen? So engagement is very, very vital. In our CIC curriculum, what happens generally, sir, we have one program, that is SUPW program, the socially useful productive work. We engage the students, but we don't get support from parents. They generally say that, okay, why are you engaging our children to, clean the areas, to plant the tree? These things the students can do at home. Now the time has come to change our mindset. Being younger students, we need to help them to understand that, yes, where are we standing. And I believe that engaging student is very, very important, as ma'am has already added. Yes, half of the population of India is teen. They are teen, they're coming forward, entire media is of them. Yes, that fire is required, that encouragement is required. So I believe once we encourage and we can give them that platform for engaging, we should not discourage. If we give them, definitely I believe that this the social talk can be discussed among the teens. Because again, the brain, the ideas we get from the many minds, young minds have different mindset to think about, to talk about. It is no harm.
Thank you so much, Amit. So the first 3 minutes were over, but I'll try to summarize what you said. I think all the curriculums, when you talk of CBSE, ICSE, IB, or whichever curriculum you talk about, there's always an approach for teaching social activism to teenagers. I think you mentioned the socially useful productive work as an example that, you want teenagers to do. But the challenge that comes in, the parent, has an opinion that why my kid is doing all of this stuff. He must not get involved in all of this. He must focus on his or her skill set, getting the best jobs in the world, making as much money as possible. Why my kid is getting involved into this? I think that's where a very important point you brought into the discussion, which we would want more principals to talk about. That is this the same response that you're getting? And do you think there has to be some effort towards, understanding the perspective that parents bring to it? Because parents feel that there must be a better community around. Parents feel that they want a better society around. But at the same time, they bring in the opinion that why my son or why my daughter? So do you think we have an answer to this question? Or is there no answer to this question and we just have to, keep forcing curriculums like socially useful productive work? These terms could be relevant, but if you're not able to bring them on ground, that's the challenge that we really face. A parent can be seen in this as a barrier, and at the same time, the parent can be seen as the protector of that child, because both of these things are required. We'll have to find a middle ground somewhere where the conversation at least starts. Thank you so much, Amit ji. Let me invite the next speaker for today. A very warm welcome to Mr. Mangesh Kumar Awari, the principal of Saksham School from Wardha, Maharashtra. Mangesh ji, over to you for the next 3 minutes. Please unmute yourself and a very warm welcome.
Good evening, speakers. The topic of today is teen activism in addressing social and environmental issues. Before I should start the speech today, I'll focus on the Albert Einstein's famous sentence: "Energy cannot be created or neither destroyed." The present youth is like fire. It is in our hands whether to allow them to cook food or to burn the entire house. You must have heard the story about the principal who is in the flight and suddenly it is announced that your old student is about to take off the plane, and the principal is laughing, and then all the lecturers put themselves down, and the principal says that I know my student's plane won't fly. So the teens are there, they're active youth, they are the change makers. So we cannot give them completely free hand, or neither we can suppress them. We need to go with a SWOT, that is strength, weakness, opportunities, and threats also. Unless and until they realize that what are their strengths, what are their weaknesses, what are the opportunities they will have, the things won't come into life. Yes, no doubt, they have the innovative ideas. They are the fresh in perceptions. They are not that much matured, so they can give good ideas. Young people with energy, passion, and idealism can take the country, can take the school, can take the city to a different height. You'll find that the maximum youth is on the social platforms. So it is within a day, everything will reach to the entire citizens. The reason is because of highly they are active. Even you'll find that the teen is helping their parents how to operate the mobile, how to talk with others, how to interact, and how to create the issues and reach. Yes, when it comes to teen, they don't have the experience. You need to keep watch on them because they are not that much mature. So they are emotionally driven. They will suddenly come to a conclusion and they cannot be easily decision makers. Yes, they have the leadership quality and we need to keep an eye. We have to track them and we have to tell them that how a self-assessment will take you to the different height. When it comes to this youth, the passion and energy of teen activists are commendable, but it has to be always watchful. We cannot give the complete free hand. The French Revolution has taken place. It is because of the philosophers. Right? If we give this kind of option to the kids, yes, there will be revolution, but it may be in different way. So we have to always keep an eye on them. Teenagers often lack expertise, resources, and experience necessary to enact substantial change. Furthermore, their activism may driven more by arguments, more by emotions. Right? They will try to cross each other if they're not happy with that. So we need to focus more on that how they can have their fresh perceptions, they can have innovative ideas, and you'll find that this teenager is always in a hurry. They have urgency, they want quick, they're not ready to have the patience. We need to teach that suddenly if you plant a tree, you cannot find the fruits. You need to take the time. If a banana tree, you won't get suddenly in a day or in a night. So we have to explain them that the patience is also one of the key of their life. When it comes to cons of the teenagers, we have to focus that they will not be efficiently handle the issues. They are the leaders, but there is somewhere a person, a ringmaster is required.
Thank you so much, Mangesh Kumarji. I think you brought in the perspective where you tell that yes, teen activism is critical, teen activism is important, giving them the power is important, but at the same time, you need somebody to moderate those emotions because teenagers are emotionally driven. When they go into execution of things, they might just fight it out because till that point, they haven't developed the ability to be receptive and respectful towards opposition. They want to get things done. That's the energy that they have. But if they get the right kind of moderator, I think that energy will go in the right direction. But if they get the wrong moderator, then the same question will come in. Why my child? Why not someone else's? And this is the challenge because when we say that there should be a ringmaster or a moderator to their emotion, that moderator becomes so critical that the teen is, immaterial at that point of time. Because then the moderator takes decisions for the teenagers. So this moderator is typically the educator. So these educators have to be a little more receptive, little more accommodative that yes, teens are emotionally driven. Let's give a little more space to them. Because a very simple example actually comes at this point. Just go and look up the life of Alexander the Great. His major conquests that he won and conquered were during his teenage. So you have to understand it's not about the teen being emotionally driven. It's not about the teenager being, non-reasonable. It's about, do they get that kind of an army? Do they get that kind of moderators? So it's typically on the ringmaster that it comes again. But thank you so much, sir, for bringing in that perspective. Let me invite the next speaker for today. A very warm welcome to Mr. Pankaj Rathore, the Vice Principal for Sage Anandram Jaipuria School from Lucknow, Uttar Pradesh. Pankaj, over to you for the next 3 minutes. Please unmute yourself and a very warm welcome.
Everyone, and I welcome everyone here, like in the panel. I beg to differ from some of the speakers today. I think if you're talking about activism, then you need them the freedom to explore and do what they feel like. But they need to learn the art of correct literacy. Somebody was talking about social media. So why don't you give them the media literacy? That's very important for them to understand. And the three whys of activism are very, very important. What, where, and why. What they want to do, why they want to do, where they want to go ahead. So these three whys are very, very important with the three P's: the plan and prepare. If they plan it perfectly and they take your inputs from time to time, it will definitely put them in the right direction. But don't take this freedom of questioning. Don't take away this freedom of being in a wannabe stage. Today they want to be Shahrukh, tomorrow they want to be an Aishwarya. So this is a wannabe stage, and you cannot stop them. Teenage is something that we all have enjoyed, and I don't want any school leader to put a full stop on that. And the very important thing is a very strong concept of education sector is that VFC. V stands for volume, F stands for frequency, and C stands for context. So how much they want to do it, that's very important. That's the volume. Frequency, keep repeating the same thing again and again, and they will pick up the right thing. Like some of the lady speakers, they, I'm not being gender biased, in the beginning they said about sustainability. Sustainability is a buzzing word, and I'm 100% sure that if you keep talking about these 17 sustainable development goals, 169 targets, then your children have the clear cut idea what to pick for social activism or what to pick for environmental activism. Picking up the right agenda at the right age is very important. Giving them the right value system is very important so that they know the art of what is right and what is wrong. Even Arjun fought Kurukshetra, I think the Battle of Kurukshetra, when he was in his teenage. So he was not able to make the choices, right choices, but Krishna was there to guide. So let there be Krishna, and we let the Arjun explore the world. They know the all Brahmastra, Shivas, and everything they have in hand. But the only thing is that you, as a leader, as a school leader, as a teacher, you have to tell them when to use, why to use, where to use. Activism itself is think and act. And let me tell you, teens, they don't think. We were talking about Greta. So Greta Thunberg, if she would have thought a lot, she would have never made a difference. Malala Yusuf, if she would have thought a lot, she would have never made a difference. So give them that freedom to explore, and their enthusiasm and excellence is attached to that. If the moment you start monitoring activism, then activism is no more to be seen anywhere. And I'll say in the last one thing that India made a very, very popular saying ki Bhagat Singh should be born, but not at my place. So the thing is that people are afraid that the activist should not be from my house. No, I think this should be an end to this thought process, the mindset, the parental mindset. If you as a school leader talk about all these points in your morning assemblies, I think your children are going to catch it right. And they know where to raise the voice, when to raise the voice. Again, I'm repeating my concept of 3 Ws and why to raise the voice. So that's very important. I request all the school leaders, give them that freedom of speech. Otherwise, just don't put in the pages of Constitution of freedom of speech, right? Every right has to be enjoyed by the teenagers as well. As far as social media and everything is being concerned, I'll just talk about one thing, that the control literacy in every field is very important, be it a financial literacy, be it a media literacy, be it any other literacy that you're talking about. So as an educator, it's our job to give them the correct literacy, but let them make the correct choices and let them take a call on that. So this is what all I want to say, Daksh. But I just don't want the teenager's voice to be taken away by any means. As a school leader, I always promote that, and I think I've been starting questioning my parents from very early, and that's why I'm at this age particularly. I have become the vice principal of such a big group. So
thank you so much, Pankaj. I think some amazing points that you brought forth, but the time was over. So let me try to summarize some of the points that you said. That what, where, and why. I think journalism also has a very good, acronym for this: the 5 Ws and 1 H. That's the way you see any and every news in the world. That if these 5 Ws and 1 H are not answered, the news is not complete. And you're very right when you say that any child or any teen who wants to get into activism has to answer these questions first. I think the challenge that we have is when somebody or a teenager wants to become active, we start moderating. It's better to ask them questions. That can you answer these questions? That's the first stage. Now let's go to the second stage. We stop the conversation. We don't let that conversation happen, even with the parent or the teenager. I think a very important point that you mentioned, let them explore all the rights that are there in constitutions in different countries. look at, because that's the only stage that they can experiment with it. Because as an adult, if I go out and start experimenting with my rights, I won't be talking to all of you. I'll be sitting somewhere else conversing with somebody else, that we all understand who that will be. You also talked about the volume, frequency, and context. That's something that teenagers need to understand, that, how much should you be talking about it? Is it something that, is in the right frequency of things? Is it placed rightly? And most importantly, whatever you're trying to do, does it have context for the place that you are in? Because if you're trying to do activism on something that's super Indian in the US, it might not work. But if you're trying to do something that's super US driven in India, that again might not work. So context again becomes very important. And I think the concluding statement that you gave really puts it all together, that when you want them to be active or getting involved in activism, do they have the relevant literacy in the different fields that they'll be addressing? Because when you get into activism, you have to take care of multiple subjects. And when these multiple subjects come in, are you literate enough to deal all of those at the same point of time? Because the world is not a straight problem coming from one subject. It's a complex problem involving multiple domains. So thank you so much, Pankaj, for those amazing points. Let me invite the next speaker for today. A very warm welcome to Mr. Rajiv Singh, the principal of Satya Prakash Public School from Jabalpur, Madhya Pradesh. Rajiv, over to you for the next 3 minutes. Please unmute yourself and a very warm welcome.
Daksh, and good evening, all renowned panelists. It was wonderful hearing you. It's always a good learning and the broadening of the horizons. So yes, there is no doubt about they should be active in the system. It is well said that we can't change the system without being into the system. So that's wonderful. And I do support that they should be the part of that. Why they should be the part of that? As Pankaj was saying nicely, that when we are going to fight a battle, when I say battle, picture in my mind is this is the 21st century where we are talking about AI, data science, machine learning, robotics, AR, VR. But what if there is no socio-moral values and the environment sustainability is lost? Who is going to guide them? These are the generations who are going to lead these discoveries and innovations in future. Rightly said by one man, 1 out of 5 are teenagers. And if you take the entire picture of the youth, more than 50% of Indians belongs to the youth category. So it's all about pre and post. In between, we are framing, we are into the formation stage of teenagers. So let's value a power, a force, rather, as Pankaj said, they are actually the Brahmastra. Why I say Brahmastra? Because they are passionate, they have a unique fighting spirit, they are fearless, and they are invincible. And without them, no battle can be won. So here, just I will briefly go through as a leader of the school. Here, like we have a AFS collaboration, we are into with TEDx also. So we are giving ample of opportunities for the children to learn, to grow, to sharpen their skill. When we talk about global citizenship, it can't be achieved just remaining inside the classroom. That's the bigger thing we have to think of. They should be given ample of time, ample of opportunity to innovate. They should move in their own style. Yes, we have been talking about Greta Thunberg, Malala Yousafzai. We should not forget our own 12-year Manipur girl, Priya Kangujam. She is only 12 years old, and she was one of the stars in UN Climatic Conference in Dubai. So how can we underestimate this unique and invincible force who have set an example? They are leading the world. Now, our teenagers are not only clearing IIT JEE, but they are using the concept of IIT JEE to do a good startup. So an engineer turning into a businessman. This is what we call it an innovation. They are bringing a lot of good things. They are a unique force. And yes, they can't be away from the system. Yes, as rightly said, we have to guide them, and little bit of guidance and as a mentor, as a facilitator, will definitely lead them to the right path. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much, sir. When you look at teenagers, look at them not just as individuals, not just as a generation, look at them as a potential repository of power, energy, understanding, knowledge, and most importantly, people who bring in the right kind of risk appetite to the table. They're the people who won't think a lot, they'll act a lot, they'll be emotional, they'll be driven. But I think we all need those qualities to be there in our leaders. Because when our leaders become too politically right, or too politically, convincing for all of us, that's where the right decision making goes for a toss. We need policy makers who are a little like teenagers, who take the problem at the face value of it and give it solutions. So when we want teens to be our leaders, why not start listening to them at least? Because that's where they'll give us a breakthrough into our own prejudices, and we might start seeing the world in a different way. Thank you so much, Rajivji. Let me invite the next speaker for today. A very warm welcome to Mr. Sibu Roy, the principal of Narayana International School from Darbhanga, Bihar. Sibu, sir, over to you for the next 3 minutes. Please unmute yourself, and a very warm welcome.
Very well, and very good evening to all of you for giving me this opportunity to speak on the teen activism. When you talk about the teen activism engaging in environmental issues, we cannot forget the example that the Mr. Rajiv and Mr. Pankaj also told, highlight the figures like Greta Thunberg, Malala Yousafzai, whose activism has captured the global attention and sparked meaningful changes. But by saying all these things, we cannot forget that we should understand they will get some platform to identify the issues, what they will work on that. Discuss the range of social environmental issues that teens can change, which such can be the climate issues, racial justice, LGBTQ rights, gender equality, poverty, many are there. But when they're doing these things, we should also cannot forget to encourage teens to identify these issues which resonate with them, personally align with their values. Else it will not be fruitful, the changes that they are going to bring in the society. But whenever they are doing these things, they are also going to face lots of challenges. So acknowledge the challenges simultaneously also important that a teen activist may face, such as a skepticism from adults burnout or face fear of blackies. Provide tips for overcoming these challenges, such as building a support network, practicing self-care, and staying resilient in the face of the adversity. Because these things are very common to them and they are going to face when they are going to be involved in these social environmental issues. Also, we can celebrate with them these successes, that the changes that they are going to bring, achievements of teen activists, both big and small, whatever it can be. Highlight the instances where youth-led initiatives have brought about positive change, whether it's a passing legislation, raising awareness, or inspiring others to get involved. Because when they are getting praise from us, they are understanding that they are going to bring the changes. And these successes, these changes can make them more fruitful to bring the new initiatives, empowering others, encourage teens to empower their peers to join the movement for social environmental change. Remind them that every individual has the power to make a difference. All that collective action is essential for creating more just and sustainable world. But at that age, they're not going to listen to us. They're going to think differently from their own perspective, because teenage is a kind of a concept that they are going to be very much less listener. So we should understand them. We could not underestimate them, their power that they are having. So these all things that I believe that they can bring the changes in the society. Never underestimate the power of young people to change the world. With their passion, courage, and determination, they can ignite the flames of justice and lead us towards brighter, more sustainable future for all. Then only the teen activism in the term of engaging social environmental issues can bring the changes that we are going to bring for them. Because teen activism is going to bring a change when we are understanding them, when we are going to create something in their lives, then only we can get the success that we are going to expect from them. Thank you, all of you. Over to you, Mr. Daksh.
Thank you so much, Sibu sir. I think a very important point which comes at the conclusion of the discussion, and it very aptly puts the complete thing into perspective. We only address a societal challenge when it becomes personal. And the problem is, when we are taught, when we go through the process of education, we are always taught the siloification of society and the individual, and somewhere in the middle comes the family. So do we need to really teach them that your family and your society are synonymous? And you as an individual are synonymous with the society. Most of us understand the importance of a good society when we become parents. because that's when we understand what kind of an atmosphere do we want for our child. And by that time, it's too late to start activism. So as adults, we must start thinking that can we imagine a teenager as the leader of our country, as somebody who is making policies for us? Only then a teen can get active or can become relevant for societal change. So today's discussion comes to a conclusion with this very simple thought. Let's start imagining teenagers as our global leaders. Thank you so much, everyone, for being a part of the BlubWorld Web Talks. This was the 230th episode. I hope you enjoyed. If you enjoyed and if you want to attend the future session, open your audio, say a big yes. And thank you so much, everyone, for being a part of the BlubWorld Web Talks. Namaste. Have an amazing evening and a day ahead. Thank you so much, everyone.
Thank you. Thank you, Daksh.
Thanks a
Thank
lot,
you.
Daksh. Indeed a pleasure.
Thank you.
Thank
Namaste.
you, Daksh.
Thank
Bye.
you.
Thank you
Bye,
so
everyone.
much.
Thank you.
It was an amazing episode.
Thank
Thank
you.
you so much.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you, sir. Thank you.
Thank you for having us. Bye-bye.
Thank you.
Thank
Bye-bye.
you. Thank you
Bye.
all. Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you.